So we have it. So what I'm about to do with you guys is something that I've done with probably hundreds. And I was trying to calculate this morning. I'm like, shit, it might be into the thousands in the last 20 years with just top people that I've coached through the years. And what I'm about to walk through is kind of like the first step of like preparing them for big sales competitions, right? Like when we have in the summertime, that is our like main season. And during the summer, we will we have basically kind of like our playoffs that happen in mid-June. We have our Super Bowl, which is the last week of July, first week of August. And then we have our Fall Classic, which right now we are in the semifinals. I got to calculate the CPO, but I sold 9 galley sets yesterday for Christmas gifts. So I need to put those online. And I'm excited to get more of you guys in the mix, but this is when me and all the professionals were like, hell yeah, we love November, December, January, because so many people are like gathering, they're using the products or gifting the products. Or if they don't use our products, they use their stuff and they're like, dude, my stuff sucks. and a lot of times before Christmas, people buy things for other people. And after Christmas, they buy more for themselves, you know, when they get Christmas bonuses, like that's why the day after Christmas is the second largest shopping day of the year. All right. That's when people are shopping for themselves. So we see sales absolutely boom through this time. And so as we prepare for big weeks or like someone's trying to go after whether it's a record-breaking week or a 2-week competition period, you know, we're obviously going to have the trip in December that you guys can win to Cancun, which is going to be outstanding, you know, and if for some reason you're not able to travel, we can do something cool for you, whether that's your own trip, something with your friends in an Airbnb, or something you really want, right? Like one of my guys, Stefan, he got like a PlayStation. I don't know, it was like a PS3 or something. This was years ago. He was so excited. It was the newest thing back then. And that's what he wanted. And so we got him that. And so I'm always willing to you know, do something awesome for people, to congratulate them, you know, because it's one to motivate you guys to work hard, but really what I love about it is to reward you for your hard work. You know, like obviously we get paid, but the company's always so good about spoiling us. And so those big weeks when people go out and ship 10, 20, 30, 40, $50,000 in a week, they prepare for those things. You know, that doesn't just happen. Like, yes, once in a blue, you get a random just happens. But there's preparation. You know, for me, I sent out emails, right, for holiday gifts. And so that's where I'm getting holiday gifts and I have to finish following up with my customers. But what I'm about to do is show you guys like how to create your list. And how the top people go through every year. They do this, by the way, every year they add more to their list. Multiple times a year in most cases. Okay. And so I share this because people are like, I've already gone through my people. Like there's always more people. There's always new people. Your customers are making new friends. They're meeting new people, like whatever it is. But I want to walk you guys through this process. Okay. And if you guys pop your email, your best Gmail in the chat box, I'm going to share this folder with you that I share with all the guys that I coach. That is going to have a lot of great resources to help you guys, not only with building your list, but also, you know, stuff with recommendations, stuff with phones, stuff with closing. So then there's just different things here, and I'll have more coachings. Like every week, I'm going to be running a workshop as we get ready for the Christmas break. And then as I talked to a couple of you guys yesterday, I'm looking for a core group of 10 people that want to make $1 to $3 grand or more during the break, you know, and whether they earn that or not, which most do, it's putting in the effort for it, you know, and really wanting to see what's possible and pushing themselves out of their comfort zone. And again, there's things that we have to make sure we get down. And those who are part of that, like, and you're coaching with me for 2 weeks straight or 2.5 weeks every day, you know, doing a 20-30 minute workshop. We're not going to be meeting for like hours every day, but just every day we'll teach for 20-30 minutes. We'll make 25 calls together and then go kick butt, you know, have a great day. And so that core group will be doing that every day. And because they're Think about if you went to one of my workshops, right? 15 times, but you did it once a week, right? That would take you almost 4 months, 3 or 4 months, 3.5 months to learn all the information. Where if you came to that every day for 2 weeks, for 30 minutes, like, wow, you have 4 months worth of knowledge in 2 weeks, right? And so what happens is there's an accelerated growth that happens from coming to these workshops. You just get better at the job faster. Cool. And that's our goal for you guys, is to make sure that you're maximizing your opportunity, that when you do have appointments, you're really able to capitalize on them. All right. So for this session, you guys definitely need a pen and paper, for sure. And so we're going to go old school on this. I guess you can type if you want to, but I want you to see the screen and stuff that I'm sharing. So it's going to be easier if you write. Yeah, oh, my dresser's great. So let me share screen with you guys so you guys can see this. So this is a folder that if you guys put your email, I'm going to share this with you. And the one we're going to focus on today's workshop is on building a 300+ person attack list. Cool. Now you're going to see different resources in here as well. And I'm going to walk you guys through some stuff. But this is the process and this is how we'll start. All right. And actually this was a repeat. So the first one we're going to start with, all right, is going through your actual like past customers. So you might think of some here, and then I'm going to give you some more specifics, and then I'm going to walk you through different things to do, to different ways that our people have collected more numbers. And this has been huge. I remember Zavi, when we get to the Facebook stuff, that was the thing that really like kicked it off for her. And then she really got my process down for recommendations. And she went from averaging like 2 or 3 referrals per appointment to getting like 10, 15 or more almost every single time. Like her next appointment, I remember her going and getting like 60 people from one person. I think she got 90. I got to check with Zavi, but I don't remember if it was 60, 70, 80 or 90. She got another like a huge one. I was like, holy crap, and it was really cool to see her start like moving and developing through that process. All right. And so this right here, you can say here, so you've got the I call it the chicken list, but it's like really going through your list and saying, okay, how many people did you have on your initial list, right? Like how many have you shown, and then how many do you have left? And we're going to write down. And if you start thinking of people that you still haven't seen, maybe they told you to call them back, maybe they had to reschedule, or maybe you haven't called them, go ahead and put them on your list. Cool. Like we're going to make a fresh list of just people that we haven't reached, people that needed a call back, like people you haven't seen yet. Or maybe they just haven't picked up, right? You've called them, but they haven't picked up. You're going to jot them down. And so think about from when you guys first started off, people you had on your list. You can pull up your app and go through your app if that makes it easier. You're allowed to cheat on this one. But who do you have that you have not shown yet? Go ahead and start writing those down. All right. Referrals, those are going to be mixed. And we're going to talk about this because you guys are at different stages. And by the way, in the next couple of weeks, you will be calling those, right? Some of you guys sooner than later. But referrals are mixed into different buckets because some of the referrals, Shelton, that you got maybe from your like aunt, you know them, like they know of you, right? You might see them at family parties, you see them at things, but you don't talk to them regularly, but they know of you. That would be an acquaintance. Okay. That would be a gear 2, or in some cases a gear 3. And so those are fine. It's the gear 4s I want you guys to stay away from. And a gear 4 would be someone that doesn't know you exist on this planet. Okay. So if you're like, oh, I'm so-and-so's friend or nephew, they're like, who are you? I don't know that person, right? Like there's no connection except the referral, which we're going to show you guys how to call them properly. And so that way you don't spoil them. Okay. Because with people you know, it's much easier to get on the phone. They know who you are. They know who's calling. When you're calling people you don't know, you need to make sure they feel really comfortable and connect with them. And there's tips to that. And so I'm not going to cover that today. We'll talk about that more next week. But just looking at, okay, how many people do you have? And so I'm going to go through something a little bit more detailed, but this is something you guys can look at on your own. I'm going to pull this up so we can start here and go through. And so here's what I want you guys to do. Anybody, please write them down. Anyone you haven't seen yet, jot them down for whatever reason. Again, whether it's you didn't have their phone number, you've called them and they haven't picked up, you haven't called them, or they told you to call them back, or they needed to reschedule, like whatever it is, jot them down if you have not done a demo yet. So go ahead and start writing down any friends, friends of yours that you haven't seen their parents yet. So any friends, parents you haven't seen, please jot them down. Everyone should be writing. This is a working exercise. if you guys do this, like I see people take this and like end up having 200-300 plus, I remember Janine got to like almost 400 people, not just this, but I'm going to walk you guys through 5 different things. So best friends, have you seen all your best friends' parents? If not, jot them down. Any that you still need to meet with, regardless of where they live in the world, please jot them down. I don't care if you don't have their phone number. I don't care if you're not comfortable calling. We're going to teach you guys that over the next month. And we're going to get you organized. Right now, we're just writing every human down you haven't seen yet. Who do you know that only has 1 kid? All right. Oh, and I didn't say this ahead of time. I screwed up here, Andrew and any others. Here's a rule. When you guys are doing this, keep your pen in your hand the whole time. All right. And keep it on the paper. And so when you like stop or you go like that, like your brain's like, oh, I don't have anyone. Like your brain shuts off. And when you're pen to paper, your brain is like waiting, like, okay, who else? Okay, who else? So like, it makes your brain work more. It's so crazy, but it's a psychological thing that when you go like this, or you go like this or whatever, your brain's like, oh, we're done. Right. So you want to keep thinking like, who have I not seen? Who have I not seen? Who else do I know? And like, keep pen to paper because more will come up. Okay. So who do you know?
I have a question.
Yes, go ahead.
Are we writing down everybody regardless if they're a Mac or not?
Yeah, anyone you have not seen. And you want to stick to people over 30 that work full time. And so whether they're married or not, you can jot them down and then we can identify who the Macs are, Noah. So that's up to you. I did my list with just people that were married, but there are some single people that I know I wanted to see who were single by choice and they were very well off and they love to throw parties and they love to cook or, whatever it is. So you just want to be smart with that. But yeah, so any families that that have children, teachers, what teachers have you not seen yet? Think about your history teacher, middle school teacher, whatever teacher. Casey Downing, I taught him how to write an email. I'm going to show you guys this in a little bit here, but I showed him how to send an email and just go to his school website, find the teacher that he wanted to email and send them an email. And he was able to collect an additional 5 phone numbers from teachers. And he booked 2 appointments. One of them, he sold a homemaker and some other stuff. And the other one, he did a starter set and got like 20 or 30 referrals. I can't remember, but he was super excited. And that like opened new avenues of his business. So teachers are awesome. Middle school, high school, college, jot them down. I saw Dr. Woodfin, she was from my honors college at my university. She was my history professor. She bought some Kako. She still buys from me almost every year. She buys something else, whether it's for her or for Christmas gifts. I also saw my, oh my gosh, I just forgot his name. He taught in one of our English classes. And I saw him and his wife. I'm totally blanking. But I remember asking him, telling him oh, I'm working with this company. And I told him what I was doing. And he was like, oh my gosh, yeah, absolutely. I said, would you and your wife be willing to do an appointment? And he was like, yeah, I'll check with her and we'll book something up. And we did. And they bought a galley and they gave me 20 referrals in Palm Beach, which is where I went to school. And I didn't really know people there. So that was cool. And so again, I'm going to show you how to reach them, but jot them down. What other teachers do you have? What teachers have you not reached out to that you could, right? And so that would be any teacher that would know you or recognize you, or you don't, Julian's like, I don't care if they remember me or not. I'm going to email all my teachers. And Julian Morrison did. And the kid sold 10 grand in 2.5 days and made over $2,000, So the more you give no F's and you're like, let's go, you're going to deal with some rejection, but Julian's like, I don't care. All right. Where other people, it really shuts them down. And let me tell you right now, the best paid people in the world have thick skin, and people, when they act dumb or there's rejection, they're like, sucks for you. And they keep going because they know that other people will get to appreciate it a lot more, So who do you know that's a teacher? Who do you know that wants to teach? Maybe one of your friends is studying as an education major, like Molly, put down their parents, right? Who do you know who's a twin? Who do you know that has twins? Who do you know of your siblings? Do you have any brothers and sisters over 30? Do you have any friends of your brothers or sisters? By the way, my sister Michelle, her boyfriend's parents bought, they owned a galley and they bought some stuff to add to their collection, about $450 worth of stuff, and gave me 16 referrals and gave me a great testimonial. My brother's best friend his mom, she bought like $700 from me. It was a starter set and some accessories, and she gave me over 20 referrals. My sister Michelle's best friend, her mom bought a complete set from me in like 15 minutes, by the way. It was so fast. And she's like, I just want the big one. And I was like, huh? And I was not expecting that. And then Alexis ended up selling Cutco like 2 years later. She started selling Cutco too, which was cool. But that was my sister's best friend. My other brother's friend. I can go on. I paid my siblings $5 for every appointment they got me. I wrote my little brother because I was 19 and my little brother, he's 8 years younger. So he was 11. And I remember writing him, I can't believe this. This was 20 years ago because he's 31 now and I'm 39. But I remember 20 years ago writing a little script for my brother that said, my sister is trying to win a scholarship. She gets paid to show Cutco. You don't have to buy. Would you help her? Like that was it. And my brother called his son's parents and he was like, hey, my sister's working for a scholarship. She gets paid to show Cutco. You don't have to buy anything. And I put like, it takes, 45 minutes, 30 to 45 minutes, would you be able to help her? And the ones that said yes, he just handed me the phone and I booked an appointment with them. So I didn't know like a lot of his friends, parents, because I was away at college for 2 years and like he was home and I didn't know his friends. And so I got some great appointments like that. So think about your siblings, your cousins, their friends' parents. Who do you know who's in sales? Who do you know that wants to be in sales? All right. Jot them down if you haven't seen them yet. Who do you know who is in business for themselves? They own their own business. They're an entrepreneur, or they work in a business that you haven't seen, or they want to be. I love business owners. That's where I get most of my holiday gifts from. All right. And whether they're buying 4 holiday gifts, 10 holiday gifts, or 300 like last week, it all adds up, and it makes me happy that people are getting Cutco and they love it. Who do you know who's in a soccer league? All right. Who do you know whose kids play soccer? I love all the soccer moms. I really love all like athletic moms because they're super competitive too. So I love seeing them. I'm like, your friend gave me 22. You got to beat her. And they're like, oh, I'll give you more. I'll give you more. Don't you worry. And then they give me 30 referrals and I'm like, yeah, you beat Susie. And I'd like have fun with them and like competing with each other. And it was always a good time and we always got more people. All right. Then think about, who do you know that like works their tail off? Who do you know that works from home? Who do you know? And I already talked about these owns their own business. Who do you know who plays baseball or any kind of little league, right? Like little league parents, little league teammates, parents. So Adriano, he was a sophomore at Boston College. And he actually found his like little league from like when he was like 12, like from middle school. He found his old list and he found his like old Boy Scouts list. Guys, this was money, and he calls like his old little league parent, like he's in college now and he's calling people from middle school. And again, you get comfortable at a certain point, right? He wasn't comfortable doing that his first week, but after he won a scholarship that summer, he was like, all right, who else? And when we were preparing for the Christmas break, for the winter break program, he actually won the trip to Jamaica that year. I said, hey, go think about old, like people you grew up with, right? Like, do you have any old rosters? Do you have any old, like, mom's lists, right? From like Boy Scouts or Little League or whatever. He's like, oh my God, I think my mom still has that, and I remember him calling, he's like, this is Adriano Diaz, I went to Ransom, and they're like, oh my gosh, and he booked up appointments with people and he's like, oh my God, I had so much fun, like reconnecting with them, like catching up, like, I grew up with them, and I hadn't seen them in a long time. And so it was pretty cool. So you just never know. And like, I remember at first feeling really weird to see some people when I started, and my dad's like, so I was in college when I started this job between sophomore and junior, and my dad's like, oh, why don't you call people from Wayside? And Wayside Baptist is where my family went to church from when I was, I think like, I don't know, 8 years old or so. And we went to church there until we stopped going to church. I lied. We stopped going to church in my sophomore year of high school. And that year we started going to a different church, New Testament. So I've been going to New Testament for 4 years, like since my sophomore year of high school. And I'm currently between my sophomore and junior year of college. And my dad's like, call people from Wayside. I'm like Wayside Baptist, like where I went when I was like 8 years old till like I was like 13 or something, 14, and he was like, yeah. He's like, there's so many people there that would like love to hear from him. I'm like, can you call them? And my dad's like, your job, you call, and I was like, damn it. He's like, I do have an old like church directory from Wayside. And I was like, okay. And I remember calling people and feeling so freaking weird because I hadn't seen them since I was like 14. And it had been like 5 years, 6 years for some people. And I was like, hey, this is Kathy Vasquez, Armando and Migdalia's oldest daughter, how are you? And they were like, oh my gosh, Kathy, how are you, honey? And I'm like, oh, I'm good, Mrs. Hill. And I remember talking to Mrs. Hill, Miss Montero. So like, I called so many ladies from like the church choir. My dad was in the church choir. Like I used to sing too. And they were like over the moon excited to like, they're like, how are your sisters? How's your brother? How's your dad? How's your mom? Oh my gosh, we haven't seen you guys in so long. And I was like, yeah, I'm at Palm Beach Atlantic now, small Christian college in Palm Beach. And they were like, oh my God, that's so great. And like, whatever, I booked demos. Like half of them actually owned Cutco and they added to their collections. Others hadn't heard of Cutco. And again, they keep buying still. Like Mr. Jordan, who's one of these calls from Wayside Baptist Church, just ordered a Christmas gift for his wife from me, and in Mother's Day, he bought her like 4 more steak knives because like she like is obsessed with her Cutco and wanted more. And so he like keeps adding. And like Mr. Jordan was one of my first appointment, like my second week appointments, because I was too chicken to call him week 1. And my dad's like, stop being a chicken. Like they all loved you. But I just hadn't seen them in so long, but jot them down because you never know. And when you get comfortable, it gets really easy. And if you don't want to see them, shoot, I'll see them and pay you for it. So no problem. So think about church, right? Think about PTA, like any moms in the PTA. Do you have any friends' moms who are part of the PTA who are always at homeroom, who are always at the birthday parties? Jot them down. If you don't know their name, just write down Johnny's mom, and we'll figure it out later. It might not be someone you see in the next couple of weeks, but it'll serve you to have it on your list. So keep that list always. Who do you know that likes to sing? Who do you know is in choir? Who do you know from former church? I just shared my stories. And so who do you know that has, life insurance? Who do you know that's super ambitious? Who do you know that has car insurance? Hopefully everybody that drives. Who do you know who have you not seen who like has like a lot of hobbies and they're always super like busy and going and going? Anyone you know from a bowling league? My sister's boyfriend of 6 years, Chris, was on a bowling league. And so there were people there, that I could do appointments with from the bowling league. And so think about friends, family, people that they know. Don't stop writing and keep thinking like who else, and you can go through your app. Like who else have you not seen yet? Who do you know who's a minister? A deacon, a priest, a rabbi. I remember at the church I started going to at school in Palm Beach, my best friend had invited me to, I love the church. And one day I was like, you know what, I'm just going to talk to the pastor's wife and ask her. And I told her, I said, hey, I'm a student at Palm Beach Atlantic. I'm working with Cutco. Have you heard of it? And she was like, no, I'm not sure I have. I'm like, okay, it's cool kitchen stuff. I'm like, anyway, you probably have tons of it, but I get paid just to do it. It helps me with my communication skills, business experience, and it helps me towards a scholarship. So I was just wondering if you might be willing to do a quick appointment. It takes about 30, 40 minutes for my part, rest is really up to you. And she was like, oh my gosh, sure, honey, no problem. When do you want to do it? Do you want to do it here at the church? Do you want to? And I was like, oh, I said, I'd rather do it at your house if you're comfortable. And she was like, yeah, no problem. I said, Lisa and I can come over together. And that was my best friend that she knew her very well. And so we did that, and by the way, Lisa ended up selling Cutco the next year. And in 5.5 days, Lisa earned $3,500 earned. She sold over 15 grand just because she had watched me for a while. And she's like, I want to do that too. And she was trying to save money to go on a mission trip. So we did that. That was cool. Who do you know that's super trustworthy? Who do you know who's a doctor, a dentist, or they want to be? Put down their parents. By the way, my dad also brought up Dr. Richard, my eye doctor. He's like, Kathy, you should see Dr. Richard. I was like, why? I'm like, I haven't seen him since like middle school. And he's like, yeah, but he was your he was your eye doctor since you were 5, and he still, the kids still see him. And I was like, okay. And I felt super weird calling Dr. Richard, and I didn't know his wife very well. I just knew him from the office. And so I called the office, I talked to him, and I said, hey, I'd love to, I said, I get paid to do this with you and your wife. Should I call her to set an appointment, or do you want me to call you back later and you chat with her and, whatever. Cause I just knew him. And so sometimes you have that where you only know the guy. And so he's like, call me back in an hour, Kat. And so I did. And he's like, I talked to my wife, go ahead and call her so you guys can solidify a time. Weekend is best so I can be there too. And I was like, awesome. I was like, I will set it up. By the way, they bought a homemaker and they gave me 16 people to see. Cool. Also, my mom's physical therapist, Gary. Gary and his wife, they booked an appointment with me. They bought a homemaker and they gave me over 30 people to go see, and so you never know what can happen. And so do you have eye doctors, chiropractor, right? Who do you know that goes to therapy? Who do you know that practices therapy? Who do you know that has a super great smile? Do you have them down? Do you have their parents down? Who do you know that works nights? Who do you know that works swing shifts? Who do you know that might have a church directory? So again, you can be adding more names. You can be writing down people you haven't seen yet. You already had on your list. Just write them down. We're making a fresh list of people you haven't seen yet. Who do you know is a single parent? Who do you know that has a new baby? Who do you call for help? Like something happens, you're like, oh, I'm going to call this person. Who do you know that loves to read? Who do you know that rides a bus or a train to work? Who do you know that knows someone who does? Who do you know that has a super handsome dad or spouse? Who do you know that has a super, super pretty mom? Who do you know who's a coach? Who do you know who's a scuba diver? All right. Have you seen any of your coaches? If you were involved, a singing coach, your debate coach, your saxophone coach, your, whatever, I guess I already said vocal coach, singing coach, your weightlifting coach, your football coach, like any kind of coach. Have you seen them all? If not, jot them down. My volleyball club coach, she got a custom set. It was like $200-300. And but she gave me 20 Mac customers of a lot of the other moms from like teammates and people that played at the school. And so that was super cool. All right. Who do you know who's a scuba diver? Do you have any old babysitters, right? Madeleine was our old babysitter when I was little. I went to see her and her husband bought a galley set and they gave me like 20 people and they cooked me dinner, which was pretty awesome. So that was cool. So do you have an old nanny? Do you have anyone you used to babysit for? Who do you know who's a smoker? My mom, oh my gosh, I just forgot her name. She worked the front desk at the nursing home my mom worked at. Oh, it's going to bother me. Jose is her husband. But anyway, I went to go, Idania and Jose. I went to go do a demo for them and they lived not the best side of town, probably like the 5th ward is equivalent in Houston. My mom didn't want me to go during dark. She's like, you have to go during the day. Call me when you get there, call me when you leave. Not the safest area. They lived in a duplex there, pretty beat up. And he smoked like crazy. Like Jose always was smoking. And we're doing the whole demo and he's like, smoking. I swear he smoked like 5 cigarettes during the freaking demo. Like he was like a super chain smoker. And I was like, and so her and I were like sitting at a little table outside. And at the end, when I asked them like if they wanted to go ahead and get it, he was like, oh, I can't really afford all that right now or whatever. Like we don't have that kind of money, and I knew them well. And I said, how much do you spend on cigarettes, Jose? And he was like, what? And his wife goes, yeah. I said, I'm just curious. Like, how much do you spend a week? And he's like, oh, don't you go there. And his wife was like, oh, we're going there. How much do you spend a week, huh? And it was like something like 40 or 50 bucks he used to spend on cigarettes like every single week. And by the way, most smokers do. And I was just like, what? And I said, well, for that, you guys could get a basic homemaker. You could get a galley +6. I'm like, it's about 50 bucks a week, And I remember breaking it down and showing it to them, and I said, look, here's what it comes down to, like for a galley. And it ended up being where it was like going to be like $25 each. It was like 50 something bucks, 25 or 26 bucks each a week. And I said, are you guys comfortable putting aside 26 bucks a week each? And I said, it's an investment. It's not cheap. I said, but you'll have it every day. You'll use it every day. You'll have it for the rest of your life. And it can be passed down generation after generation. And they were like, oh, that's right. And so he was like, yeah, let's do it, And they ended up buying a galley set and they love their stuff and they've added through the years. But it felt so good to me because like they don't have a ton of money, but they do spend money. Like people that don't have a lot of money, they spend money on stupid crap, whether it's cigarettes, energy drinks, magazines, like whatever it is, like people spend the money. And so it's very important for you guys to know and understand that. All right. So anyway, let me keep going. So who do you know who's a college? I already talked about college professors, previous teachers, jot them down if you guys haven't seen them. Who do you know is in softball? Who do you know is an engineer or wants to be an engineer? Have you written them down? Have you written down their parents? Who do you know that drives a truck? All right. Who do you know that's in management or they want to be in management? Who do you know is a carpenter? By the way, introduce me. I need a good carpenter. I need a good handyman. If you know anyone in the Houston area, I am looking for them. Who do you know that does like odd jobs? All right. And so whatever, like they're like, again, a good handyman. Who do you know that works a second job? Who do you know that's super successful? Jot them down. Who do you know that likes to save? They're super thrifty. Maybe they're a couponer, whatever it is, but they're super conscious about where and how they spend their money. Jot them down. And I'm going to move quicker through this. Keep writing because I want to show you guys all the other things I want to show you. So who do you know, who have you not seen that is a Cub Scout parent, Girl Scout parents, Boy Scout parents, YMCA? Who do you know is involved with the YMCA? Maybe they volunteer at the YMCA, jot them down. Who do you know who's super enthusiastic? Who do you know who's a postman? All right. Who do you know who's an apartment manager? Who do you know that bought a new car? Who do you know is super likable? Who do you know that likes to fish? All right. Super big fisherman. All right. Or just loves it. Maybe one of your friends loves to fish, put down their parents. All right. Who do you know that works out all the time? Maybe they box, maybe they do CrossFit, maybe they do yoga, maybe they run marathons or triathlons or whatever. Who do you know that like loves to be active? Who do you know that owns a grocery store? All right. Or who do you know that works at one? Who do you know that's a pharmacist or they want to be? Who do you know who's a barber, beautician? Right? They know crap tons of people. If you guys haven't asked your like nail tech or hair or whatever, like they see Max all the time, especially the ones that like work from home. Like I love those people. So who do you know who's a barber, beautician? Who do you know who's works in a dry cleaners or owns a dry cleaner? Who do you know that has a clothing store? Who do you know that works at a furniture store or sells furniture? Who do you know that drives a van? Who do you know that's a plumber? I want to meet them. Electrician, I want to meet them. All right. So who do you know? Maybe they own their own plumbing company. Maybe they own their own electrician. Maybe they're a worker there. Want to meet them. Who do you know that works in a restaurant? Maybe they own a restaurant. Maybe they're a manager at the restaurant. Maybe they're a bartender, waiter. All right. Who was the maid of honor at your parents' wedding or at your best friend's wedding or whoever, you know, they got married? All right. Who is their best man? All right. Have you seen them? My dad's best man bought 8 table knives and some other stuff to add because he had Wusthof. And so he added a $500 order. And then 2 years ago, he bought a homemaker. So that was cool. Who do you know who's a boss? All right. Do you have any old bosses? My old boss at my restaurant, they actually owned Cutco for 20 something years and they bought $600 more and gave me great leads. The chef at the restaurant, he ended up being one of their good friends. He loves Cutco. He ended up buying stuff for him. And I got some other great leads from there as well. So think about anyone you know that works in a restaurant. All right. Who do you know has a deep voice? Who do you know that you vacation with? Who does your family vacation with? Who do you know that likes to take vacations? Who do you know that plays guitar? Who do you know that drives an expensive car? Who do you know that drives a small car? Who do you know that has a beer mustache? If you're jumping on late or early for training, just start writing. We're just expanding names list right now. Who do you know that's a lawyer or wants to be? Who do you know that works in a health club or a spa? Who do you know that sends Christmas cards, childhood playmates, daycare? Who has the best beard or mustache? Who drives a super nice car? Who drives a shitty one? All right. Think about former neighborhoods. This was bread and butter for Tyler Tarr and for Mario Sabates. Tyler Tarr went to the old neighborhood. He grew up in his whole life with his family. When he started this job, his mom had moved to Kansas. His dad was living in Georgia, but he was from Florida. He grew up there. And so he went to his old neighborhood and he was like, hey, I used to live on the corner there. And they were like, oh my God. And some of the people knew him very well and some didn't. But he got great appointments in his old neighborhood. Julian Morrison did that too, from current neighbors and people from his old neighborhood. So who do you have from your neighborhoods? My front neighbor bought 8 table knives, a spatula, scissors, and some other stuff. My back neighbor bought a homemaker. 2 doors down, they bought a starter set. So make sure that you guys ask. So think about where you grew up. Mom and dad, school reunion. Who do they still talk to from school back in the day? All right. Any of your spouse's friends, any of your aunts and uncles' spouse's friends, right? Spouse's family. Who do you know is a secretary? All right. Anyone you know from out of state, obviously people can live anywhere. Who do you know that speaks multiple languages? Who do you know is a pilot? Who do you know is on the football team? Who do you know that talks a lot? Who do you know that drives? Maybe they drive a limo, they're a chauffeur, they're Uber, they're Lyft. Jot them down. Put their parents down. Who do you know that lifts weights, tennis, swimmer, photography? All right. Photographers are awesome and they know tons of people. They have clients all the time. And so jot them down. Who do you know is a bartender? Who do you know that works another job? All right. Keep writing, please. Keep writing. Who do you know that just got married? Who do you know that's super attractive? Have you seen every one of your aunts, uncles, cousins, and people that you call your aunts, uncles, and cousins? Who do you know who's super noble? Who do you know is a great personality? Who do you know that goes skiing? Who likes golf? Who plays cards? Who eats out a lot? Who's super optimistic? Who has a nice stereo system? How about a principal? And that goes back to school, post office, police department, firefighters. My brother's a firefighter, hospital, nurse. Guys, if you know people that work in emergency medicine, like my brother and my sister-in-law, like they work funky shifts, you know, and so they'll work some shifts where they work 24 hours and then they have like 3 days off. And so you can get a lot of daytime people from nurses and doctors who work in hospitals, paramedics, firefighters, and police officers, right? They don't work normal hours, like a 9 to 5, right? They're on call. There's people working 24/7, those jobs. So that's really cool. All right. And so before I go to the next thing quickly, I'd love to get a count. I'd love to know how many more, how many people you wrote down that you haven't seen yet. And go ahead and put in the chat box to me. Go ahead and message me how many names you have written down that you haven't seen yet. All right. I'm curious. Count them up real quick and I'm going to go to the next thing. All right. So there's this right here is something Janine had put together. And so let's see. I want to get your guys' numbers. All right. Awesome. And the goal, most people going through that will get 20 or more, you know, people that they haven't seen yet. Some people will get 40. Nice. Noah got 45. Some people will get 60. And I've had people have 100 or more that they wrote down. All right. So Shelton with another 40. Or so it's 25, and you want to keep working. I'm going to show you guys more things to keep adding, like all these things that you guys can do to these messages. All right. So here's nice. So Tatum 25. So let's go through here. So now this right here, she used to work with me, and then she's the one that I told you guys got like 400, almost 400 people on her list. And then she started teaching people, and she made this. There's a little bit outdated, some of the stuff in here, but it still works today. And this is what she did for the push period. And a push period is when we do like a 2 or 3 week competition where you kind of push yourself out of your comfort zone in some way or another. And that's what this job is about. It's about constantly expanding you. It's about expanding to the next version of you. So this is something that she did. And she's like, you know, purpose of the handout, help you achieve maximum success during push periods, starting with 300 plus people to call that you've never gone through before. Remember, if you don't see someone, someone else will. Everyone deserves a chance to see Cutco. Never say I have no one to call, no one's picking up, and my recs are stale, or everyone's out of town and no one can do an appointment, right? So here, when you're creating this, and once you get organized, like next week or whatever, like you guys can keep organizing this, but the goal is to put all your best people first, which by the way, now we have the app. This didn't exist when Janine created this 15 years ago. Okay. And so now we have an app, and in the app, you guys can star people so that your best people are at the top of your list. So when you guys start calling, you have your best people first. Thumbs up if you guys know what I'm talking about. Doing good. So you guys have really great resources now to get organized easily, so you can just call straight through your list. You always want to keep notes on people, which the app lets you write stuff in there, which is awesome. You don't have to print anything because it's in your app. Remember, you're not bothering anyone. You know, seeing people you know is called networking. All business professionals do it, and that is a fact. I'm in EO groups. I'm in masterminds. Like I pay money to like network with people. It's actually a very important skill set to have. You should always be calling acquaintances first, and then you're always going to be calling people. You're always meeting people as you go through. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to walk through the list. And I'm going to go through this fast. You guys are going to have access to this, but please jot stuff down. This is going to show you guys what you can do. And you're going to need to set aside probably like a 2-hour period. That's what Zavi did. I was like, just set aside 2 hours, like from 10 a.m. to noon to like get organized. If not, at least 1 hour and then 1 hour a different time. To work on this, because this takes time to do it. But if you put in the time, it will pay off. Okay. And I'm going to show you how to call these different groups. So these are the groups. So the first thing is going back to school. Cool. So that's step 1. So on Google search, go through, find your high school website. once you're on the website, find the faculty and staff page, write down the first and last name of every teacher you know. All right. You guys can go to whitepages.com. And so some people are blocked, some people are not. So just know that you're going to find some, you're not going to find some. All right. But type their name, your city and high school. And then look for the unshaded name. It says address, phone, view, full profile. Write down their phone number on your list. So there's phone numbers on there. If you don't have their phone number, don't worry. All right. We're going to send a message to them. So don't stress, but write down phone numbers. 40% are going to have their numbers. And then, the people who don't have their number, we're going to email them. All right. So that's step 2 for the ones without their phone numbers listed, or you can't go back and, you can't go back to the school's website, or for whatever reason, you're going to go back to the website and you're going to send the email. So their email is on their school website. Everyone's email is on there, like their school email, right? Not their personal one. And so you're going to email their school email and you're like, hey, and you guys can adjust this, but you're like, subject, student from blank year, important question, please respond ASAP, and you're like, hey, so Casey did this. He's like, hey, Miss Susie, I don't know if you remember me. It's Casey Downing. I went to school at whatever, graduated blank year. He's like, I was your favorite student, and he's like the class clown. He's like, I was trying to get in touch with you because I had a quick question about something I'm working towards a scholarship, and I was hoping you could help me out. What's the best phone number to reach you at and a good time of day to call? Look forward to talking to you. That's it. Cool. And so emails, guys, can take you up to a week to get a reply. Some people don't reply. I will tell you because I currently have, I don't know how many emails. I have 4 different emails. This one has 1,095 I still need to read. This one has 74 I still need to read. And this one has, I don't know where the other one is. This one has 313 I need to read. So anyway, I'm just sharing, like, they might not get to it. So just know that, and that's normal, and don't freak out. All right. But just, you want to send them out to everybody, and just know you'll have a 20% return. But that's how you get more appointments. All right. It's usually about 2 out of 10 that you end up getting. So that's why you want to have a bigger list. And then once you have them, it just keeps snowballing. Step 3, find your yearbook. If you don't have a yearbook, reach out to a friend that graduated, see if they have theirs. So you can go through and write down all friends or acquaintances, teachers, or guidance counselors. Same deal. Go to White Pages, type in their name. This gives you the steps, and you can write them down on your new list. All right. And I highly recommend making a list like this. This is what people do for friends, right? Like Andrew was working on this yesterday because I want to help him win the trip. All right. But you can make a list like this for your customers. So we can delete all that and just have start making a list. So you have all your people in one place. And what we can do is we can then write notes on them, right? You can write notes and just kind of stay track so that you know what's happening with people from your list. So that's what most of the top reps, even though they have the app, they actually have an Excel list. When they make their list for a competition, they put it all in an Excel list. And that way they can keep track and they can sort them if they've already seen them with the ones they haven't seen. And also keep, just see at a glance. So that's a higher level tip that I always recommend to people that really want to kick some butt. Number 2, be a friendly neighbor. So ask parents if they have a neighborhood directory. My neighborhood doesn't have a directory. So there's different things that you can do. One is this, whitepages.com neighbors. And so type in your address without the house number, and all your neighbors are going to pop up. Cool. Write down their phone number on your new list. Repeat that step. So you can do it with nearby streets. You can do it with your grandparents and aunts and uncles. You can do it with old address. But then she would just be like, hey, I actually live on 1031 Villa Court. I was just checking with some of the nice neighbors to see if they might be willing to help me out with something I'm doing, and she contacted neighbors that way. Another thing that exists now in most neighborhoods, who's heard of the Nextdoor app? Raise your hand if you've heard of Nextdoor app. All right, Andrew, you have, you guys need to check that out. Cool. You guys can go to Nextdoor app. Almost every neighborhood has it. And you can post, and it goes to everyone in your neighborhood. And so you can put a post and say, hey, I'm a student and I can give you a post. Cool. Kind of like a Facebook post. I get paid just to do it. If anyone's willing to help, please let me know. And there's always people that own Cutco and they're like, I have Cutco, no problem, come by, or, they want to help out with stuff. And so that's super cool. All right. So that's another way that you guys can collect more phone numbers. Then here, you've got meet your parents. All right. And we're good. I'm going to keep going with everybody. So meet your parents. So step one, create a LinkedIn account. If you guys don't have a LinkedIn account, that's huge. The other thing that you have to create, if you don't have one, is a Facebook account. All right. And maybe you want to make a separate one that's just for business. I was telling this yesterday to Marisol. You will get a lot of business from Facebook, and I'll teach you guys how to use that. That'll be another workshop we can do next week or whatever. But if you guys, actually, I'll talk about that tomorrow at the PSP. We can talk about Facebook tomorrow at PSP. So either Nadia, myself, Spencer, someone, but showing you guys how to do that and how to utilize it the right way. Because there's a lot you can do with Facebook that's going to give you constant business if you guys do that. So anyway, back to LinkedIn. Make a LinkedIn or find your parents' page. All right. If you go to your parents' page, you guys see there, this was her mom. On the right, it shows how many connections. So she has 473 connections her mom has, right? On Facebook, people have different amount of friends, you know? And so when you go on Facebook, you can also check that out and say, oh, okay, where's, you know, how many friends do my parents have, or does my sister have, or whatever. And so, you know, if I looked up my sister, here she is. I look up my sister and I'm like, all right, my sister has 466 friends, right? So those are people that I can message. Her and I are going to have some in common. We have 30 mutual, but that means 436 are not mutual. Cool. So just so you guys know that, and you can look and say, oh, they're a family. This is a good person. I should probably message them. She's the owner of Events by Jess. And so you can kind of do a little bit of like Facebook stalking and see who you want to talk to as well by looking at pictures and things. This helps Zavi, and Zavi can talk about this tomorrow. But using Facebook and sending messages, which I'm going to show you guys, she did this. And this is where she really got her jump start, because her parents and her dad didn't want to give her people, and they wanted her to work for it. And so until they saw her really going, so she really did have to work for it. And once her dad saw her doing that, then he gave her like 20 people, and then he gave her, you know, some other people there too. So anyway, LinkedIn, you go there, next to send message, it'll say how many connections they have. Click on the link for connections and the list of people that they have. Ask your parents for names and numbers, you know, for anyone that they know. If they don't have their number, you can go on LinkedIn, you can click contact info. Sometimes they have it. And if not, you can try White Pages. If you don't find it, again, you can always send them a message with the same message you send in an email. Okay. While you're on LinkedIn, you guys can look up any teachers that you couldn't find. Number 4, meet yourself. All right. So again, this is something that Janine put together of what she did and how she created her 400-person list. So this is what she did. So first, look at your resume. Anywhere that lists or previous experience, activities, check out how cool you are, right? Who did you meet doing these things in your past? Volunteer coordinators, church directors, supervisors. Who worked with you at your previous jobs? Who helped you apply to college or the scholarship you earned? Write down all the people you can think of. Look them up on whitepages.com or LinkedIn. Write down their phone numbers on your new list. All right. Step 2, go to Facebook. All right. Click on your profile, click on the link on the top that says friends. All right. And so this is on yours, right? So if I go to mine, where the heck do I see myself? Home. All right. And I go to my page here. I can see, I don't know how many friends I have, 4,237. All right. So I've got a lot of people, a lot of connections. So there's, and maybe your parents are like too, maybe they're not, you know, some people might be like my sister who has 400, I have 4,000 on there. And so you can write down people on your list and you can message them, like any of your friends. You can say, hey, do you have a quick second? And then let them know, hey, I'm working for a scholarship. I need to do presentations for adults. I wanted to ask your parents if they might be willing to listen. If they say yes, it's really quick. Do you think I can get their number so I can give them a call, right? This is what she said. Basically, it's a version of what you guys saw in the manual, right? Like that's like, we've said the same thing for so many years. And so it's just a little bit more cleaned up in the manual now. And if they say, you know, what is it? Like, oh, it's through a company. They show me to show their product. You can tell them it's Cutco. It's pretty cool. Your parents don't have to get anything. I just need to practice, you know, or if they said their parents would be interested, she's like, oh, they don't have to be, you know, interested in what I'm showing. I just need to practice presentation. But anyway, this was huge. She got a lot of people from that. All right. And then guys, with Facebook, something that we do a ton now, well, you can look up parents on whitepages.com, right? You guys can also send messages. And so I'm going to show you that in a minute here. Last thing, network with your organization. So church, clubs, volunteer, band, sports, fraternity, find each organization's website. Okay. So the website has a list of people that are in that organization. So staff, coaches, whoever, write down their names properly, look them up on white pages. And then if not, again, you guys can just send them a private message through social media. Social media 20 years ago, 15 years ago did not exist like it does today. So there's so much more that we have access to now, and it makes it so easy to connect with people. And then again, she said, if anyone, send them an email, anyone that you have an email for. And so, hey, it's so-and-so from blank organization. I don't know if you remember me. I was trying to get in touch with you. I had a quick question about something. I'm working towards a scholarship. I was hoping you could help me out. What's the best number to reach you at and best time of day to call? Look forward to talking to you, blank, right? And make sure you check your email. So this is what Janine did, and it is money in the bank. And you guys can definitely add a lot more people to your list if you guys do that. Okay. Last thing that I want to show you guys is this right here. And so this, whenever I teach people to go back and rebuild their list. All right. And let me, there we go. So anytime I have people go back, all right. And hold on. So this right here, you've got church, neighborhood clubs, Boy Scouts, like same stuff we've been talking about. Find the directories, find rosters, those are money. All right. But here's what helped me. So I actually we didn't have an app back in the day. We had notebooks, and I lost my notebooks like in the fall. And I was so sad because that was my whole business. And so what I did, I actually went back to old people, and I've had so many reps do this to kickstart their business or really, really get things going. And so I just sat down for a meal, with my best friend's mom. I went to one of my old customers, and I just found a time to catch up. And you can send them a $5 gift card if they're if they're virtual, right? They're not in your city. I just sent them a Starbucks gift card and an email. So I'm like, oh, we can have coffee together, and just chat with them. But you're just thanking them, thanking them for the time we've had. I'm sharing oh, when I first started last month, 6 months ago, 2 weeks ago, I didn't really understand the sponsorship and the role it plays. This is especially if you didn't get a lot of referrals. That means you didn't really explain the sponsorship, right? And so I'm I know I shared some of this before. I'm but this is different, and so you get them, talk to them about what you're excited about. Be hey, so things that I didn't know, there's a lot of opportunities to advance with the company. There's management and sales internship opportunities. There's scholarships for school. There's letters of recommendation. I can get into a leadership academy. And if I'm most impressive, and this is what I was talking to you about yesterday, Shelton, you can run your own mini franchise next summer and learn the startup process of a business as well as earn college credits doing it. So I was so Auntie, I need your help. I'm when I first started, I just really didn't understand this. So it was hard to explain, but I want to show you how the sponsorship works and how you can get some free Cutco from me. And you can re-explain the offer. And guys, you guys can help us with Cutco. You can earn Cutco bucks helping us on campus. You guys can earn Cutco bucks helping us with social media advertising. You can earn Cutco. So this is Cutco that you guys can cash in. So it's $10 an hour in Cutco that you guys can get. And so you guys can offer them free Cutco for helping you out, right? The third thing is messaging friends to get parents' numbers, and you guys can just use what's in the manual to do that. All right, that's super simple. And what I'm talking about is if you guys go to myvectordemo.com, right? And you guys go to phoning and you guys scroll down to after the video of the girl, it says getting phone numbers, right? And so it tells you exactly what to do, and it shows you exactly how to answer questions. So that's huge. And you guys can utilize that. And then this has a template for people. So this is what Zavi did that kickstarted her. I had her go on Facebook and I said, you're going to message family, friends, teachers, mentors, everyone on Facebook. I'm it's such a great resource. And so LinkedIn is also a great place, but Facebook, you just say, hey, Susie, this is Zavi, and whoever's daughter, whoever's friend, however you know them. I'm I'm actually attending whatever school online, doing major. So for me, I was I'm attending Palm Beach Atlantic as an international business major. The company I'm working for offers scholarships to help me pay for school. My assignment is to book appointments with people to show a product called Cutco. I just need to get your opinion on it. You don't have to buy anything. I get paid just to show it. In order to stay on track, for my scholarship, I need to do 10 appointments per week. It's fun and easy. It takes less than an hour. What day of the week would be best for you? It'd really help me out. I look forward to hearing back. My cell's blank. What's the best number to reach you at? Right? Or emailing a school or a teacher. Like, I don't know if you remember me. I went to school at blank. I was trying to get in touch with you. I had a quick question. That's in the other one, right? White pages, which we talked about. So all of this is in there. So going through all these resources, using social media, going through all that, how many more numbers do you think you guys could come up with using those resources? Anybody?
Hundreds.
You really can. Shahida, were you going to say the same thing? But like, I mean, there's so much. If I go through my, by the way, Facebook, I have 2 Facebooks. One has like almost 5,000, one has 4,000. Like that's 9,000 for, now I understand everyone doesn't have that, but you've got Instagram, you've got Snapchat, you've got Twitter, you've got TikTok, you've got LinkedIn, not just yours, your parents, your aunts, your uncles, your best friend's parents. Like, and so there's so many resources to get more people. So I wanted to share that with you guys this morning so that you have some things in your toolbox. I'm going to share this folder with you so that you guys have access. Those of you who were here early for the workshop, and you're going to have these 4 documents that we walked through this morning. Cool. And then I'm going to be sharing with you guys more stuff as we go through all of these different folders over the next, 5 weeks. Like every week, we're going to go through a different folder to give you guys resources to know how to do things to help you guys accelerate your growth and really help you take advantage of this holiday season. Because I will tell you right now, this is the best season to sell Cutco. It's also the easiest season to get put off. Because when you call them, they go, "Oh, Anna, yes, for sure. Oh my God, see, call me next month. Call me after the holidays and we'll do it." Like, this is the easiest time where you can get put off. Cool. Where people say like, "Oh yeah, like, let's do it later, like call me later," because it's easier because they're busy during the holidays. And so that's another thing we're going to be talking about and helping you guys get good at, is making sure that you guys have great skill sets on the phone so that you're able to really capitalize on it. And so when I call people, I'm like, "Hey, Miss Susie," I'm like, I'm chatting with them. I'm like, "Well, hey, the reason I was calling," I'm like, "I know you're probably super crazy with the holidays, but I'm in my biggest competition right now for the Christmas break. And so my goal is to complete a minimum of 15 appointments a week over the next 5 weeks, and maybe it's complete 5 appointments a week until finals are over. And then I am hitting the ground running to take advantage of my holiday season. And so just really working hard to build momentum. And they're like, "Oh, that's great." I'm like, so I know this time of the year is super crazy, but the reason I was calling is I haven't hit my goal for today, or I haven't hit my goal for tomorrow, or I haven't hit my goal for whatever day you haven't hit your goal for that's next. And I was wondering if there's any chance that you could squeeze me in on such short notice at blank or blank time. It would help me out so much. And they're like, "Let me see, honey." But they're not going to say, "Oh, it's the holidays. Oh, I'm busy." Oh, because I already said that. So I'm going to talk to you guys more about that, but that's called prefacing the objection before it comes up. Okay. And so when you do that, and Spencer's amazing at teaching this as well, when you do that, then they're not going to say the thing, right? So like, let's say I'm asking someone for a Sunday, "Sergio, I want to book someone for tomorrow." And I know that tomorrow is like a church and family day for a lot of people, right? So I'm going to say that. I'm going to go, "Thea, I'm going to do my approach. Hey, the reason I'm calling, you started a new job, showing Cutco, I'm like, "Hey, the reason I'm calling is that I haven't hit my goal for tomorrow." And so I'm going to add, this is not in the script, but I always preface the objection I could get. So I'm going to go, "Thea, I know Sundays are usually like a family day in church and like kind of a chill. I'm like, but I actually have not hit my goal for tomorrow. And I was wondering if there's any way you could see me after church or, later in the evening. I have an opening I'm trying to fill at 12:30. Or would 2 be better?" And they're like, "Oh, okay." Now they're not going to say, "Sergio, tomorrow's church and family time," right? You already said that. So if I'm asking someone for a Saturday, I know Saturdays are a busy runaround day, right? Like kids have sports, little league, and it's just like a good errand day. So when I ask for a demo on a Saturday, I do my normal approach. "Hey, how are you?" And then when I say, "Hey, the reason I'm calling now is that I actually haven't hit my goal for today. And I was wondering," I'm like, "I know Saturdays are a crazy runaround day for most people, like errands, little league kids, like just a lot of stuff happening. So I know moms are busy, but I hadn't hit my goal. And I was wondering if there's any way you could see me last minute. I still have an opening I'm trying to fill this evening at 5:30. And I have one later at 9 p.m. Would either of those work for you?" and they're like, yeah, we can do that, or no. But it's just like when you preface that, it's magical what happens. Because now you don't get those excuses because you already said it. So again, that's a whole other lesson, but I know that we're going into phone calls right now. So I wanted to just, throw that out there, so that when you guys are talking to people now, if you're not booked for today, if you're not booked for tomorrow, like, don't be afraid to say, hey, I actually was calling because I haven't hit my goal for today yet. I was wondering if there's any chance you could see me at blank time, or would blank time be better, right? And that's after you go through your approach. And so let me just pull this up real quick to make sure everyone knows and understands, because as you guys are making phone calls, there's always 4 parts to a phone approach. Okay. 4 parts. And so the first part is the hello, letting them know who's calling. Cool. The second is why you're calling, right? So the reason I'm calling, just starting a great new job, you don't have to buy anything, I get just to do it. That's the second thing. Cool. The third is finding a time. And so here I want to do blank appointments. So I want to schedule. This is where I add the extra urgency. Okay. Which I'm pretty sure there's like extra, like, money maker, like urgency phrases. I don't know. They have so much random stuff in here that's actually very helpful if you guys like go through here and study this stuff. But anyway, this is where I say, so the first part, say hi, right? Who's calling? The second part is why are you calling? The third part is finding a time to meet with them. So right here, if I'm on the phone right now, Meg, I'm saying, hey, Miss Sandra, I know this is so last minute and you probably have plans for today, but I am trying to get 2 more appointments by tonight to hit my goal. So anyone who hasn't hit their goal for today, that's what you're saying. Cool. So you're like, hey, I know this is really last minute. Everyone got that? You're saying to them, I know this is really last minute and you probably already have your stuff for today, but I need to do 2 more appointments by tonight to hit my goal. I want to know if there's any way I could schedule a call with you later today at 5:30, or would 8:30 be better? And so whatever times you still have available. Cool. If you are already booked for today and you are booking for tomorrow, I would say here, when I finish, I'm saying, so you don't have to buy anything because I get paid just to show it. I do presentations right over the phone on Zoom. You just need to be in front of a laptop or a computer at home. Now, Miss Susie, I know this is really last minute, and you probably already have plans for tomorrow. Sunday's usually like a family day and like, church and stuff, but I want to do 3 more appointments by tomorrow night to hit my goal. So I wanted to know if there's any chance I could schedule a call with you. I have an opening tonight at 8:30 p.m. still open. And then tomorrow, I have some time right after church. Would tonight be better for you? Is tomorrow better? And they're like, oh, tonight. I'm like, great. And I'm going to book them. Or they say tomorrow. I'm like, all right, what time do you have church, or do you have anything in the morning? I'm like, all right, let me look. I have a time at 11 a.m. that would work, or would 12:30 be better for you? And you offer those times. And they're like, oh, sweetie, 12:30 is great. I'm like, perfect. Thank you so much. This means so much to me. And the fourth part is firm it up. Cool. That's the fourth part. So no matter what phone approach you guys use, if you guys, as you learn to call acquaintances, as you learn to call referrals, as you learn to call service calls, as you learn to call realtor orders, no matter what phone approach you use, you always say hi, right? The greeting and who the heck's calling. The second thing is you let them know why the heck you're calling. The third is you build urgency to find a time that works as soon as possible. And the fourth is you firm it up. Cool. So that's my little bonus lesson for the morning. All right. So I want you guys to have that. So